Well, hello there. We are doing Minnesota Twins hitting report cards today. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I am your host, Brandon Warren, and you can find me on Twitter at Brandon_WARNE, though I don't think I would recommend that. Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And of course, we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As a reminder, please feel free to be active in the comments. We'll hang out there with you, whether it's a live show, recorded show, whatever. Answer some questions, pose some questions, and just try to kind of have a fun experience. Also, too, if you have questions you want answered on the show, feel free to send them to me however you can, whether it's live in the chat at Brandon_Warner at Locked On Twins on Twitter. However you can do it. Also, don't forget to check out Locked On Twins breathless post-game minutes as soon as possible after pretty much every game, including a stat you will not see anywhere else. Before we get started, this show is brought to you by Sleeper Picks. You can swing for the fences on Sleeper Picks, and you could win up to 100 times your money. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDON, all one word, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's term of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. So check out Sleeper today and see if you can play. Twins finish up with the Mariners at T-Mobile Park on Thursday. I made the mistake of calling it Safeco earlier in the series, but such is life. It's a 2:40 p.m. first pitch between Pablo Lopez and George Kirby on Thursday. Pablo looking to keep things moving in the right direction after a tough stretch there. George Kirby, one of the young and immensely talented Mariners young starters. So Twins looking to take 3 of 4. Mariners looking to salvage a split. You can catch every pitch of the Twins' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Twins. Now, today we're going to talk about hitter report cards, and we're going to talk about every hitter who has at least 50 plate appearances on the Twins this season. So that will omit Matt Wallner, and it will omit Kyle Garlick. So a pair of outfielders who, I don't know. I mean, Wallner was so good in that one stretch where you could give him a grade of, I don't know, A-, B+, because he's going to obviously have a little bit of a track record to look at. But I wanted to keep it consistent across the board. Garlick not even on the 40-man roster anymore. And so not enough playing time for either of these guys to really show what they're capable of. But here in the opener, we're going to talk about outfielders, and that, we balanced these as best we could to make sure that I would have 5 or 6 in each section. So Alex Kirilloff's going to get a little nod here in the outfielder section. Willie Castro's going to get a little nod here. But otherwise, it's Gallo, Taylor, Kepler, Larnach. So Joey Gallo, we're starting off with Joey Gallo. He's been worth 0.7 Fangraphs WAR coming into Wednesday's action. 3 strikeouts and 3 plate appearances. 0.7 Fangraphs WAR as noted. I gave him a C-. He's popped a few homers. 17 homers. He's already 2 homers behind last year's pace on quite a few less plate appearances, on about 160 fewer. But with that said, striking out a career high 40.7% of the time coming into today. Actually, 41.4% following Wednesday's game against the Mariners. So, yeah, popped a few homers, still has a 114 weighted runs created plus, but just too many empty plate appearances right now to give him that much better, to give him a grade any better than, a D. C- I think is more than fair for Joey Gallo. So we got a C- on Joey Gallo. That brings us to Michael A. Taylor. Michael A. Taylor has done, I think, a fairly solid job filling in the outfield for Byron Buxton. The offensive slash line at 218, 267, 412 obviously doesn't tell the story of a guy who's doing a ton, offensively, but in spurts and in certain spots, he has provided enough value where I feel comfortable giving him a B. So he has 11 homers already this year. He only had 9 all of last year in 124 games. And he's had enough timely hits to the point where I feel like you could probably give him a nice boost from, a C to a B. And defense too helps. They're not exactly getting Byron Buxton level production out there from Michael A. Taylor defensively or offensively, but he's done a nice job in the spot that he's been put in and had enough, big hits, a couple late homers, some big stolen bases, and that sort of thing. So I'm giving him a B, and at 0.9 F WAR through 87 games, he's probably a better fit for some teams, maybe like fourth outfielder moving into the future. But for now, he's hanging in there in center, playing on a regular basis for the Twins. We have Max Kepler, who homered on Wednesday night for his second straight game with a homer. Things looking quite a bit better of late. Excuse me for the German. I've got Kepler with a C. So Max Kepler goes 2 for 5 on Wednesday, brings a season line up to 100 weighted runs created plus. Easy for me to say. Been striking the ball a bit more of late. Defense has been pretty much his standard solid. Offense, the power especially, has been quite a bit better this year with a 215 isolated power as opposed to a 121 last year. So he's driving the ball a little better. The strikeouts are not unwieldy, though they are high for him at 22.4%. His career rate coming into tonight was 18.3. The walks have dipped ever so slightly. So a lot of things going on in Kepler's profile, but I think since he's returned, he's kind of started to turn things back around a little bit. And as I said, he could coexist on a roster with Matt Wallner. All they needed was, Jose Miranda got hurt, and same as it ever was, guys are constantly getting hurt regardless of who your training staff is. So the idea that you would shuffle Max Kepler out just because you needed Matt Wallner up, it never really made sense to me. Then Kepler picks up a big extra base in Wednesday's game, then comes across to score what ends up being the winning run. He still does some things that Matt Wallner can't do for you. And again, you don't have to choose between them necessarily. So Kepler's not exactly making the grade, but a C is still pretty solid. That brings us to Trevor Larnach, who we have not seen in a while. 47 games played, well over 150 plate appearances. We got 177, and he has hit 211 with a 311 on base and a 388 slugging. So that's a 94 weighted runs created plus, so below average, striking out 34.5% of the time, but walking 13% of the time. I give Larnach a C minus. The biggest thing for me was down the stretch before he got sent back. It was just, there were so many plate appearances where he was not making any meaningful contact whatsoever, not even foul balls, not, just not doing enough to justify a grade higher than that. The numbers this year bring his season line, or his career line, to 222, 315, 376. That is what you would expect out of a guy like Kyle Farmer, not a power hitting outfielder that you used a first round pick on a few years ago. So yeah, I'm not out on Larnach or anything like that. Certainly he's got to start hitting breaking balls off speed. Basically he can hunt fastballs, he can crush fastballs, and he's shown that to this point in his career. But it would sure be nice to see if he had, anything else in there. Against fastballs in his career, he has a 925 OPS. He's hit 11 home runs. I just want to break it down, though, because 11 career home runs on fastballs, 3 on slider, 1 change, 2 on sinker, 1 on curve. So basically 13 of his 18 career home runs have come off of some form of fastball. So again, if he cannot learn to do anything damage-wise on off-speed breaking pitches, he is pretty well pigeonholed as just an extra outfielder, which I'm not ready to make that declaration quite yet, but we're creeping up on 700 big league plate appearances. Willie Castro dives into the outfield mix with a B+, and if you look at the offensive line for Willie Castro, it is not all that dazzling. He has a weighted runs created plus of 95. He's hitting 247 with a 322 on base and a 365 slug. He, to me, still chases too many pitches that are just, fringy, or not, just not pitches he can do much with. But with that said, he's played all over. He's played pretty well defensively. Really, the big mix-up I remember defensively was in center when he overran a ball earlier in the season. Otherwise, he's got 22 stolen bases. He came into this season with 18 in his career. So he's up to 40 career steals. But he's been that added speed element the Twins have been missing, or were missing to start the season. So you got to give Willie Castro a lot of credit to. Wouldn't say like his career was necessarily left for dead, but when the Tigers let you go, it's not looking good. Now he's 26, just barely turned 26 at the end of April. So I still think there's a little more here, but I don't see him as much more than a 25th, 26th man, kind of who you might want to see be, or what you'd like to see out of a guy like Nick Gordon. So picking up where Nick Gordon left off. And our final one for segment 1 before we dive into segment 2, which is infielders. We got AK Alex Kirilloff, and I gave him an A-. The defensive value is so hard to gauge because the value of first base defense is so low, the replacement value of it. So while he has a weighted runs created plus of $135, he's hitting 285 with a 377 on base and a 456 slugging percentage. He's only striking out a quarter of the time, walking more than 10% of the time. All those offensive numbers are great, starting to show off some more power as he homered to the opposite field in this one. Also, 4 strikeouts and then a homer. Doesn't happen that often. In fact, the last time a Twin did that before Kirilloff did on Wednesday was Miguel Sano doing so back in 2019. And then there was a game by Brian Dozier where he had actually 5 strikeouts and a homer. I think that was back in 2017, but I don't have that pulled up here. But nevertheless, 4 strikeouts and then a homer. Very, very rare occurrence for Twins players going back about 4 years. Let's take a quick second and talk about a new sponsor called Dave. And if you're not sure what or who, I'm going to say what Dave is because I don't think it's a who necessarily, but it's a banking app that has leveled the financial playing field. If you download Dave, you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. It's part of Dave's extra cash account. Advance the money you need with no interest and settle up later. Extra cash gives you more money to buy groceries, fill your gas tank, get your car repaired, catch up on bills, whatever you need before you get your next paycheck. You can even build credit when you settle up on time. Millions of people have already downloaded the Dave app to make their finances easier. So if you're in a pinch, get the help you need by downloading Dave. Download Dave today at dave.com/MLB. That's dave.com/MLB. You can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. Download the Dave app now or go to dave.com/MLB. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Eligibility criteria and instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve, member FDIC. All right, so we are into the bullpen. We're going to talk about Twins infielders and their report cards as we get close to the 100th game of this season. Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. If you're an everydayer, make sure to check back later as the Twins wrap up the series with the Mariners at T-Mobile Park. We're We're going to have a crossover episode with Colby Patnode of Locked On Mariners after the series, and we will be working on some other report card things for pitchers. And we are also trying to get Marty Cordova on the show next week. So we are going to have a whole heap of fun for you coming up here. Twins wrap the series with the Mariners at T-Mobile, Park, which I called again Safeco last time out, which is sadly incorrect. Anyway, Thursday, 2:40 p.m. It's going to be Pablo Lopez, George Kirby. You can catch every single pitch of the Twins hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Twins. Now, we are into the bullpen. We are actually into the infielders for these report cards, and we are going to talk about Donovan Solano, who, as I've noted many times this year, if you've seen the movie Billy Madison, there is a sequence at the end where Steve Buscemi's character fires, I think it's a gun into the backside of the guy who plays Eric. And at the end, Billy goes, "Man, I'm glad I called that guy." To me, that is who Donovan Solano is on this team. That's one time on Wednesday, takes a walk, wild or pass ball during that, brings home what ends up being the winning run. He's got a 125 weighted runs created plus. He's been okay defensively wherever they've put him. I feel like he's kind of been an adventure at first, but nevertheless, he comes as advertised hitting wise plus walks. He was a 6% walk guy before this year. He's up to 11.9% this year. Just enough pop, driving in runs, doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He has done a tremendous job kind of smoothing things over between second and first base in the absence of Alex Kirilloff, in the absence of Jorge Polanco, in games where they've had Farmer at third and didn't want Julien to play second. Lots of different options, and Solano has answered the call. So I gave Donnie Solano an A because everything he could have been asked to do to this point, he has been phenomenal. Jorge Polanco, on the other hand, I gave a C- to, and I feel like it's weird grading him because we haven't seen much of him. Now, the fact of the matter is he's close to returning, at least as far as we know. He had a day off Wednesday at St. Paul, but I give him a C-, and really comes down to the fact that he hit a 103 weighted runs created plus, 318 weighted on base average, but an expected weighted on base average of 355. So some batted ball stuff that if it had gone his way, the numbers would look a fair amount better. Now, again, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, go ahead and Google that. I'm not going to sing the rest of it. But, yeah, the Twins need Polanco to get back and help this team, whether it's playing third base and Julien stays at second, if it's Julien DHing Buxton, taking some time off and then getting out to center. I don't know what the machinations of that look like, but for now, the Twins need more Jorge Polanco, and he gets a C-. Speaking of C-, that's what I gave Carlos Correa to. Correa has played so coming into Wednesday, Correa had played 85 games and had a 1.3 Fangraphs WAR. So it comes out to roughly 2 point whatever over a full season, which clearly not good enough for Carlos Correa. But I was in 366 plate appearances, in 167 plate appearances entering Wednesday. Edouard Julien had a 1.3 Fangraphs WAR. And so in about 200 fewer plate appearances, well less than half, Edouard Julien has replicated Carlos Correa's value according to Fangraphs WAR. So we gave Correa a C-. The defense has been good. He's come on strong of late offensively. Wednesday's 0-for notwithstanding. And there's signs of life in his bat, but it's been a slow burn. It's been a slow roll to this point. And, we'll continue to expect to see good things. We'll continue to expect to see big things moving forward. But for now, we're going to wiggle with Correa down there in the C- range. Jose Miranda getting a big fat F. He's hurt right now, which feels unfair to kind of hold against him. And honestly, we're not. But he's just been absolutely disastrous this year. Has no pop, he's been almost a win below replacement level on Fangraphs. Defense has not been particularly good. And there's a reason why the Twins have churned through Royce Lewis, Kyle Farmer, Donovan Solano's played some over there. They're probably going to move Polanco over there if it comes down to it as well. Miranda just has not been that guy this year. It doesn't mean that I think they're going to give up on him. It doesn't mean that I think he's going to get traded for nothing here at the deadline or anything like that. But to say it's been a disappointing season for Miranda would be understating it just a bit. So a big old F for him. This is what happens when you're slashing 211, 263, 303. Kyle Farmer, not just a guy on the roster, gets a B+. And so what I've liked about Farmer, and he's shown a little bit of pop of late. Went 1 for 4 on Wednesday. He's got a 97 weighted runs created plus. So he's hitting 246, 312 on base, 390 slugging. If a guy plays pretty good defense, that's a perfectly reasonably valuable player. And basically what he's done this year offensively is indistinguishable from last year. Last year, he had a 309 weighted on base average with a slash of 255, 315, 386. So basically a carbon copy of what he did with the Reds last year. He's moved all around. He's looked pretty competent defensively and just seems to kind of be a guy who goes with the flow, rolls with the punches with whatever the team needs. And so guys like that to me have more value. So I gave him a B+. But I know he's not exciting. I know he's not a guy who, when he's coming up in a big spot, you get crazy excited. But he's come through enough to merit that level of grade. And then Edouard Julien. I mean, what more can you say? He's tied to be the team's most valuable player by Fangraphs WAR, despite only playing fewer than 50 games this season. Absolutely crushing the baseball. 167 weighted runs created plus. OPS of almost 1,000. I think Trevor Plouffe said he's reached in 18 of his last 26 plate appearances. So just an absolute heater that he's been on. And he's swinging the bat better. He's not striking out as much as he was the first time around. I think the walks will continue to come and to continue to be a big part of this, in addition to if he can, negate still more of those strikeouts. Because I don't think he's going to strike out 30% of the time when he's at his peak. So, yeah, big A for Julien. We'll see where he settles in, because the rest of the way, is he going to play second? Is he going to DH? Is he going to finally pick up a glove and play some first base with Alex Kirilloff moving to the outfield? A lot of flexibility, a lot of moving parts here, but it's indisputable that Edouard Julien deserves an A. All right, we're going to come down the home stretch here. We'll get the rest, the best of the rest. There's a few guys left, catchers, and a few guys whose positions are a little up in the air as far as what you would consider them regularly. But before we get to any of that, we need to talk about Sleeper. So our friends at Sleeper want to know, if you want the chance to win more money with less picks, head to Sleeper, where you can win up to 100 times your money with just 2 or more fantasy baseball picks. So if you like, a hitter versus pitcher matchup, you can pick that hitter. You can pick a pitcher to strike out however many batters. You can basically mix and match whatever you want. If you want to bet that Alex Kirilloff or Edouard Julien keep rolling with another homer, Max Kepler keeps rolling with another homer, you can do that too. You can win 100 times your money on daily fantasy baseball. Sleeper is now offering up to 100 times payout for up to 8 pick contests. So you choose as many as 8 players that you like and pick more or less on your favorite baseball stats: home runs, strikeouts, hits, you name it. Get your picks right and you could win big. So you download the app and start playing. It's super duper easy. You can make an entry in 30 seconds or less. There's a built-in chat function, so you can see and copy your group's picks with the tap of a button. Withdrawals are safe and fast, and let me tell you, it's an absolute blast. If you use the promo code Locked On, you will get $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. So run on over there and see if you are in one of those 30 and check out sleeper today. We are coming down the home stretch, the 7th inning stretch, as we call it on Locked On Twins. Twins Mariners wrap it up at Safeco/T-Mobile on Thursday. It's a 2:41 pitch. Pablo Lopez looks to get back rolling again against George Kirby, one of the young and immensely talented Mariners pitchers on a staff full of them. You can catch every pitch of the Twins' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Twins. And we're diving into this last little bit here. Christian Vasquez got a B- for me. And I think that if there's going to be a rating that I have that people criticize, I think that would probably be it. Vasquez has been swinging a wet pool noodle to the effect of a 61 weighted runs created plus, 2 homers, not hitting with any authority, but he's still been worth a half win. The reason why I'm big on him is his defense, to me, has been transformational. Now, certainly there are guys who call their own games. Sonny Gray has the PitchCom device on his glove hand and that sort of thing. But I think Vasquez has totally reimagined how this team views the catcher's role in a staff. I think Ryan Jeffers and he work together very well. And again, I think the defense alone outweighs the fact that Vasquez is, for instance, slugging lower than his on base, and his on base is 288. So it's pretty ugly. But defensively, again, Vasquez doing everything you could ask of a catcher. Big league teams that win a lot of games can have catchers like that. Vasquez was on the World Series champion last year. The World Series champion last year, the Houston Astros, continue to employ Martin Maldonado, who does virtually nothing offensively, but is a transformational defensive catcher. Now, they've got Yanir Diaz as a kid who's going to hit. We'll see where that goes. But it's not uncommon for teams to prioritize defense from a catcher. And not only that, but prioritize defense from a catcher when you are a good team. So the fact that this pitching staff has been rolling, part of the credit goes to the pitchers, of course, probably a lot of it, but Pete Mackey in that mix too. But then Christian Vasquez defensively, I think, gets a lot of credit as well. So we are, I almost closed my window there. We're going to give Vasquez a B- because the offense has been so bad, but the hitting or the defense has been excessively good. Now, his counterpart behind the plate, Ryan Jeffers, we're giving an A-. Jeffers picked up a big RBI with a single against the Mariners on Wednesday. His weighted runs created plus is a $126, which for a catcher is exceptional. 261 average, 371 on base, 415 slugging. He's basically doing everything you could ask of a catcher defensively and giving you offense besides. And I get the sense that maybe he could continue to steal away playing time from Vasquez. At this point, Vasquez has played 62 games with 215 plate appearances. Meanwhile, Jeffers has played 54 with 171, if I'm mathing correctly. So Vasquez still slightly ahead, but both getting plenty of playing time here as the dog days roll in. So B- on Vasquez, A- on Jeffers. Byron Buxton is our final one, or not final one, the next one. I gave him a D. Offensively, this last little stretch here has very significantly brought him down. He got off to a decent enough start, and I know he's playing through some things, so I don't want to ding him too bad. But again, he's batting third in the lineup when he's playing, and it's just right now like he's playing MLB The Show with a guess pitch that he's guessing wrong every time. So it's kind of a wonder that he's hitting a $196 and not like $185 like Gallo or a $176 like Nick Gordon before he was hurt. It's been that ugly of late. So we'll give Buck a D with obviously plenty of room for improvement down the stretch. But, we'll see how he comes back, whether it's in the finale, whether it's against the White Sox, or whether there's a different plan altogether. Our penultimate ranking or report card is Royce Lewis, who I gave a B+ to. Royce, before getting injured this last time, was hitting 326 with a 354 on base and a 474 slugging. So not taking any walks, but again, less than 100 plate appearances, so things can change there. Striking out a little bit more than average, but not terribly so. And, the quality of contact and all that. 358 WOBA, 285 expected WOBA. There was some room for regression there that could have made that line look a lot uglier than it did as time played out. But nevertheless, what Lewis provided on the field and what we saw from him, the defense was okay at third. I'm comfortable with a B. Let's see, a B or a B plus. Where are we going to go with this one? I'll say B plus. Let's go B plus. He's been willing to do everything the Twins have asked of him, even though it has resulted in him getting hurt at pretty much every stop. But with that said, when he's been on the field this year, he's done a really nice job. So we'll give him a B plus. And finally, Nick Gordon is getting an F. And it's not because he's been hurt. It's not because I don't like him. It's not because he's blocked me on Twitter. He's hitting 176 with a 185 on base and a 319 slugging when he went down. If he can get healthy, I think he can still help this team. Roster spots are going to be tough to figure out with guys out of options, guys coming back, that sort of thing. But Nick Gordon to me gets an F. He just was off to such a putrid start. And, 93 plate appearances. It wasn't like it was 50, 35 plate appearances, whatever. It was a brutal start. So, yeah, we're going to give Gordon an F. He and Miranda are the two Fs. They're the two Twins position players under replacement level by Fangraphs WAR. Now, that's all we got. That's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure you follow at Locked On Twins at Brandon_Warren. Check back for some bonus episodes as we try to get a little extra content pushed out here as we head into the dog days of summer. Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. If you're an everydayer, check back. We'll have a Locked On Twins Mariners crossover with Colby Patnode, and we'll see what else we have on tap. Subscribe, like, give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you are listening or watching on. Thumbs up and subscribe on YouTube, all that fun stuff. Hang out in the comments section and send me questions for the final segment each day. That is the 7th inning stretch, the voice of the fan. With that said, this is Brandon Warren signing off and saying thank you so much for hanging out, and don't forget to stop by tomorrow.